Hey, welcome to episode number 2 of the Bears Cast Network podcast with co-hosts myself, Patrick, and Aldo. Lots has happened. The Super Bowl is finally done, and officially, the Bears have a new president, and our old president has officially stepped down as of today. So that's awesome. How you feel about that?
Oh, just honestly great about it. Like, I'm very excited for the Kevin Warren era.
Cheers.
It's be the first time that we could have some real sense of culture change since since I could remember. So
Yeah. It's
exciting era.
mm-hmm. All right. Let's talk about the Super Bowl. So, what'd you think of the game? What'd you think
First
of the
off,
halftime show?
game was amazing. I didn't watch the halftime show. No, I'm not too big on first off it looked like a Super Smash Bros arena, so that was
It
funny.
was,
But
it was funny.
it's it was not I'm not too interested in halftime shows the last few years, so
I got you.
I
I
didn't
got you.
watch it much.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought the Eagles were going to win it the whole entire way. It was just, man, the Chiefs pulled it out. Do you not bet against
There's
Mahomes
just
now? Like, I don't get it. That last call
honestly
though.
I first off, let's not blame the refs on this one. The Eagles defense gave up a 10-point lead. Straight up. Like you can't have a quarterback score 5 touchdowns in the Super Bowl and then you give up 38 points. Like, and
Yeah.
this was the number 2 defense in the league.
You know.
Like, I understand it's Patrick Mahomes, he's the best quarterback in the league, but still, like, you just can't let your offense be everything. And sure, Jalen Hurts did give up that fumble for a touchdown,
Yep.
but I mean,
That
the
was
guy
big.
scored all of your points. Like, I think
How about
he
that
kind
special
of
teams
deserves.
return too?
Yeah, that was another thing. The special teams return was another big one. Like, again, the game has 3 phases, so it's not all about just one side of the ball here. Like, the as much as everybody wants to blame the refs on it, like, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, Philadelphia had a 10-point lead and they gave it up.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It They wanted to win. If they were going to win that game, they should have played better defense.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really a shame about that last call. I personally, I don't know. I only saw a couple angles of it, but it's. I think
Oh,
it should have been a no call.
I mean,
Just the way the game's been playing, I think it should have been a no call.
well, I mean, the defender, I forgot his name. He admitted to it. He admitted that it was holding, that he was doing the
No, I
intentional.
get that, and it
Like,
was, but it was so
he,
like such a small hold, and then the whole game it was like that. My thoughts were like,
I mean,
big moment, let it play out. But
I
I mean,
completely
I get it.
I completely get what everybody's saying. Like, and I agree wholeheartedly with the statement that it's the Super Bowl. You don't want to make that call as a ref, but at the same time, there's going to be that side of this fan base that'll be like, oh, what the heck? The refs didn't call that. They rigged it for the Eagles. And then we're just suddenly talking about the other way, you know, about how the Eagles got away with a call that would on a drive that the Chiefs could have scored a touchdown on. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
let's talk about that one play where Godart, wow, I'm messing his
Goddard?
name up. Goddard, he caught that ball. Supposedly he got out of bounds. He basically caught it. Uh, didn't maintain possession fully. It kind of moved in his hands. Then he bobbled it, and then he got one step in and went out of bounds. As soon as that happened, they were starting to do the replay on the big screen, and then the Eagles snapped the play, got it off the whole play, and
Mm-hmm.
then a flag was called, and the refs called it back, saying we didn't have enough time to let the defense do their sub and get
Yeah,
set, so that the
exactly.
play
Like,
doesn't count. So now we can challenge it. They caught themselves though, because so I got to give credit to them. They caught themselves because then they're like challenge after the play was challenged. they looked at it and they're like, "Oh, that's a catch. We don't have enough to overturn it." I'm like, "Bullshit, that was not a catch." But it's all right because, like, they righted their wrong. It's like that.
It's.
Ooh, I was
I'm
heated
not
there.
saying first off that situation entirely was botched by the ref committee. I will say
They
at
got it
that
off.
point
They got the whole play
after the
off, man.
Eagles snap the ball and they get it off, like if the refs have to throw a flag, like that's
But
not
they threw a flag on themselves. Like, that's what happened.
you can't do that. That
No, he
you
can't.
can't throw a flag on yourself.
Like kudos on the Eagles. I was like, hell yeah, they got it off. That was clearly
Yeah,
not a catch.
exactly. That's exactly the Eagles did exactly what you're supposed to do. If a play in a situation is questionable, you rush to the line, you get set, and you snap the ball so then they don't have time to review it. That's the
Everybody
whole
out.
point of them
Yeah.
doing that whole play. Whether the play actually like worked or not, whether it was like a loss for a yard, who cares? It was Dallas Goedert got that first down. But I do
Yeah.
agree that was a complete botch on the refs. They should not have. Oh, they should not have done that. It was like very evident they're trying to give themselves a chance to review it because they didn't want the Eagles to take advantage of the situation.
Yeah,
But that's well within the rules for the Eagles to do so. It's not the job of the refs to go to give to like pause it just because they wanted extra. If they wanted the extra time, they should have just called the timeout themselves. Like I'm
no,
pretty sure refs are allowed to
exactly.
do that.
And so that kind of
Like,
falls into the next part. It's like if that's the case, the rest, which kind of seemed like that's what happened, what we just discussed, then that means that they adjusted to make a correction on a call they messed up on, which that means what determines if they're allowed to make that correction. They make those adjustments, make a call versus not, holding back a little versus not. Like, there's a lot of nuance there. And so, and timing too. So my question is like, how much of that timing or nuance or like that decision making by the refs or whoever, like, what happened in that last call that was not happening the whole game? Like, why? What kind of nuance was there that we don't know about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's something to it. There's some kind of things we could pull from the one play versus that last call that kind of sealed the game.
I just think there needs to be, personally, I think that there just needs to be some kind of quality control with the refs. Because while I 100% agree that last call did not affect the outcome of the game, in my personal opinion whatsoever, like when you look at the game as a whole,
I don't know.
Cannot disagree that the reffing and all the penalties, the inconsistency of all the penalties has been a wide-going issue throughout the whole league. So I do agree that there needs to be some kind of quality control and some kind of disciplinary action happening for the referees that are not doing their jobs as
just
well.
Just
make
them salary, man. Like, it's so easy. Yeah, but
that's
we can have a whole segment.
Like,
we can have a whole segment on this stuff, though.
Yeah, we could talk about it all day. Like this could be its own podcast. But yeah,
all right, let's move on to the Hester snub. So your thoughts on Hester not getting put into the Hall of Fame?
Completely ridiculous.
He was a terrible receiver, in my opinion. Best returner ever.
Don't care. Don't care. The guy, though, one of the main things about getting in the Hall of Fame is literally being a guy who is so good at their position that they're just invalidating everybody else, and that was Devin Hester.
So it's kind of he
literally made
throwing shade. They're throwing shade at special teams here.
He literally,
like, you ain't real players.
No, I hate the fact that there's so much like snobbish attitude towards special teams. Like it's such an underappreciated part of the game.
I mean, look at yesterday's game, right?
Exactly. Like giant punt return that put the Chiefs
Set him up
right in.
right for a touchdown.
Exactly. Like you have to take that. That's a part of the game that has to be taken seriously. And while unlike Devin Hester, like you can't like draft players dedicated for that position because most of the time, like you do fill it up with practice squad guys. It doesn't mean that you have that players who do amazing job in that position shouldn't be recognized for it. And realistically, Devin Hester was so good at it, he literally changed the outcome of games. And I bet if someone has all of his return yards added together, he's probably way up there with most like receivers in terms of yardage he's gained. Like because people can't just forget that he didn't just get like the touchdowns, he also had a lot of 40+ yard returns that didn't go for touchdowns but put his teams in prime position to score.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like the flashy big touchdown plays, even though we all love that, you know.
Oh yeah.
And not only that, they also changed the rules literally because Devin Hester was literally scoring too much his rookie season. Like I don't understand how people don't like see that.
People forget football's a short-lived life. Like you go in, you do it. Everybody loves you. You leave. Hey, who's Tom Brady? You know what I mean? Like he just retired. But let's move into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is Zebra Tech, and it's kind of stemming straight from the special teams. You familiar with Zebra Tech?
No, I'm not. Could you mind elaborating?
Yeah, sure. So Zebra Tech has had a contract with the NFL, and all those next gen sports, all those stats and everything, are from chips that are inside the footballs. And so that's how they're able to tell the speed of the players and everything because they're holding the football. And so the next logical thing, Sean Payton was on it was Pat McAfee's show talking about the Zebra Tech and how his involvement in it. And basically he said and kind of announced like, hey, Zebra Tech. So they just re-signed their partnership with the NFL. And the next thing they've already been testing and they're going to be implementing is Zebra Tech for all other components of football. So some of them are going to be first downs, touchdowns, punts. So let me go through a couple. Touchdowns, think hockey. When the puck goes in, no matter what, there's a sensor with the actual goal, and the goal lights up and it goes did. And so that's what'll happen with the touchdowns. First downs, no more freaking. I mean, you remember that fiasco last week's or 2 weeks ago playoff game, right? For the I think AFC Championship or NFC, I forgot which one it was. But then they brought the second chains, and they were like all like just spun around. They had to untangle them. So for the first downs, they're going to be able to do that instead of old clunky change. And then the last one, which Pat McAfee was so excited about because he was a punter, right?
Oh yeah.
He's like the refs literally have to sprint down while staring at the ball to figure out the angle that it goes out on. And another ref goes like this and just points over there. And they're like, 25-yard punt. And they're like, bullshit. That was a 50-yard punt. You guys know what you're talking about. and then the refs are just making stuff up and nobody talks about it. So now it's going to be so now if you have that, you know exactly where it goes out on the punts. And that'll be a huge thing.
I think that is honestly huge because if you take things out of the ref's hands, like where the ball gets placed and where and whether or not something is a touchdown or not, like first off, that cuts down on review time. That'll cut down on the relative challenges because now coaches can actually like challenge relevant plays instead of things like where's the ball spot. Where the ball was spotted.
And there's less points too. So if in basketball, you get the shot off before the shot clock. The backboard lights up once the time is up. So imagine someone going and they cross it, or they cross that first yard line or whatever. They'll know exactly time-wise with the timestamp when they crossed it. And then if someone's knee was down, they just have to look at, was the knee down before this time or after this time, and less points of like error here. And it'll just especially piles and stuff. Like it's just a mess. So this will definitely help that out.
Not only that, it would, if it's implemented correctly, it'll help speed up the game too. Because as I said before, it'll cut down on replays. That there will be no deliberation in terms of the minute things on where to put the ball. Then if they manage to get it to a point where like the ball could tell if it's been caught or not, that'll be great.
Like, I mean, I'm excited for this thing to finally be implemented. They've had the technology in the balls, they haven't been using it for this stuff, you know?
Oh Lord, that's a hell of a title. But it's like I was saying, the technology that is now they were looking to implement, that would be amazing for the game, I think, and to even make it like just more streamlined and to help take less downtime out. Because
you know what I feel like? They're like the Madden games. You remember like 2008 to 2009 to 2000, like there used to be these like every 4 or 5 years there was these massive jumps in the way the game was. Now it's just like it's all the same, right? But it's like there's these massive jumps in the game and the ways like hit sticks would happen and this and that and they did it all almost at once. And then the years after, it was like basically it kind of sucked because the changes never happened. It was just the new players. And so I feel like the NFL is like, we don't want that happening. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one little tiny change each year. So we have something to show for every single year. And we're not going to do any new technology stuff. And they're just incrementally doing it. It's like we're going to be in 2030. They're going to be like, we can finally get rid of these chains. The technology is here. It's like dude, it's been here since 1990.
I mean, I don't disagree with the concept of getting rid of the chains and like that. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm going to miss that anticipation when the guys run out on the field and then they do the measurement, and then you get to see whether or not that ball is a half an inch or not short of the first down. But they're like, since we're bringing up relevant changes, like I honestly would have liked the NFL to bring up a lot of the changes that the XFL had brought up. Like I would, and I believe if I recall correctly, when the XFL had initially started back up in 2020, they had actually signed up to be the NFL's testing ground for all their new technologies. So not quite a minor league, but they would be the hallmark of where all the revolutions that we would see in football would be put forth. So like all the modern evolutions of the NFL we would see in the XFL first. Yeah. And I really do hope that continues with this new iteration of the XFL. Because unfortunately because of COVID, they had to take 3 years off, basically.
Yeah. And here's one last one for you before we move on. Forward progress will also be able to know, because if the ball is going forward as far as it goes.
Oh yeah.
And then starts coming back. So that's going to be a big one. And I don't know. It's exciting. I hope they implement it.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have coaches moving. So we have Sean Payton just got the job with the Denver Broncos. Will he change Wilson? Will he make him into a good quarterback again? Who knows? And then our old Fangio defensive coordinator just took a job with Miami. And I got to say, it is primed for Aaron Rodgers to go there and win a Super Bowl. Like, that is the spot. I know Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay, but, he's a good quarterback. I think he deserves the second one. Yes, he's a handful and a half. But, look, I want the best to beat the Bears, okay? And so I want him to go down as one of the best, so it could be like, look, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers beat us. It's no big deal until we got our shit together. Rodgers left, and we have to go against some.
Well,
scrubs.
I mean, if Rodgers really does want to follow the footsteps of Favre, he'll go to Miami for 1 year, leave, join Detroit, and go to an NFC Championship with Detroit, and end up having his last game be a sack against the Bears. But we'll see how that. Nice. We'll see how that. We're a couple of years away from that, but
yeah, that's what AP was playing.
Yeah, So look, who knows? Maybe Saquon Barkley goes to Detroit that year.
Mm.
But like I was saying, there's a lot of uh change in terms of the moving of the guard, and I do believe Miami does need a new quarterback. I do think Tua should hang it up personally. Like it's just way too dangerous for him now to be playing. It's
Yeah.
comes a time when even if the body is able to, like if your head's not able to, if especially your head, like
Yeah.
if the
CT,
brain is
man.
just not functioning right, it doesn't matter. Like I think if he plays, he's going to shave off 20 years of his life, and I really don't want that for the
It'll
guy.
mess him up too. Like he's gonna be
He's a
like
good
really
kid.
messed up.
Yeah, he's a good kid, and I understand he has a real deep love for the game. But at the end of the day, like everybody comes to a point where they realize that they have to like stop doing something that they love, and they have to
There's life
transition to
after
doing something else.
football. There is. Like
Exactly.
you can do it.
Exactly. Like this was, even if he hasn't felt like he has done all that he could, it at the end of the day, like he
You
has
know.
to come to terms with that. Yeah, he actually has.
You know
Like,
Roger's going on that 4-day dark retreat, right?
yeah.
Yeah, you should bring Tua with him.
Like
Last one out.
Rogan out there
No,
with him.
no, yeah, but I think Tua could use something like that where he's just forced to be with his thoughts and really think everything through. And I think he'll come to the same conclusion if it's a tough decision or not. We'll see what happens. I hope for the
Maybe he
best.
should talk to Andrew Luck about it, because
Yeah,
Andrew Luck
yeah,
had decided to call it quits because his body, he just knew his body couldn't keep up anymore.
yeah.
So,
Maybe he will. Who
you
knows?
know, and there's just um let's move on from the depressing topic, but yeah, Derek Carr, like potentially moving. He's like
So yeah, he was
a
going to
lot
the
of
Saints.
rumors that he's going to go to the Saints. A lot of rumors that they're going to trade him.
And then he played the I'm not waiving my no trade clause. So basically, he's going to become a free agent soon. Whatever team picks him up will not have to pay, not have to give up trades or anything, which is great, right?
Yeah.
Great for whatever team he chooses to be on.
Mm-hmm.
Saints, they're decent. They just got a couple of draft picks for Sean Payton. That might be cool. I mean, Miami would be a great landing spot for him too. The Jets might
Oh
be a
yeah,
great
by all
landing
means.
spot. Like
Yeah.
he's got options, and by becoming a free agent first, like that is I think it's a great call by him, an obvious one.
By all
Looking back,
means, like this is a great Bear QB market right now, and Derek Carr's picking a great time in his career to like essentially decide to leave the Raiders, and he's gonna have his pick of some really good teams that really need a QB. So it's really like fortunate for him. And personally, I do not think Rodgers going to be leaving Green Bay anytime soon. I really don't. I think he will retire a Packer, as much as I might despise that. But he's going to. Derek Carr is probably going to be the biggest pickup for a team like Miami or the Jets. I think a lot of teams are going to be fighting over him.
he's so
He's
solid.
still
Like he's so good.
he's still
He's
like he
top
was a
15 for
top five
sure.
passer last year.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and then like, oh, he had one off year this past year. So, and everybody and their
How many
mother
coaches?
recognizes Josh
How many
McDaniels is
coaches?
a terrible head coach.
Yeah, how many
So,
coaches did he have? Like 7 already
yeah, something like
in like
that.
5 years, like
Yeah.
or whatever it's. So yeah, nobody can survive in that. It is what it is.
No, and it's like the amount of drama and the amount of like hardship he's gone through is just like he deserves something. He deserves a good situation, and I think he deserves to choose where that situation is. So the guy's just
Yeah,
been a class act. He's been a fantastic player in the league, and a lot of people taken for granted because of just how really good he is.
So I wonder who's gonna go to the Raiders. I mean, I feel like McDaniels. I don't know who he's gonna get. What's he gonna get? Sparky from New England. Belichick's can convince him, hey, he's really good. You should take him. Or like, are they gonna move up in the draft to pick someone up? Like that's their best bet because Rodgers doesn't seem like he's going there. Carr's leaving. Those are the top two people in the QB kind of free agency. So or like potential trade or whatever.
I mean, they could ride with Jarrett Stidham too. He's still a rookie.
Garoppolo, maybe.
Jimmy Garoppolo is also a really good one too. And it's like you said, there's 3 really good QBs in the market. The Raiders do have a top 10 pick this year. So there's not out of the realm of possibility from the trade up for one of these 3 QBs.
That's what I was thinking.
Do I think all 3 of these QBs will go in the first 3 picks of this draft? No. So I think the Raiders realistically could trade in the top 5 and grab one of these guys. And they don't have to.
Leads us into our next topic, which is Justin Fields being traded.
Not happening.
Oh yeah, but like it's fun. It's fun to see the outside Chicago people just kind of get riled up. Like,
I know. To me personally,
I can't believe it's so easy.
I think it's a smokescreen to try to get like other organizations like the Texans and the Colts to be willing to give up a large sum to the Bears so that the Bears can go ahead and swindle as much as they can. Like I've seen so many mock drafts saying that they're gonna like the Texans are willing to trade 2 first-round picks to move up 1 spot in the draft. No, they're not.
Let's do it.
No, they're not.
I'll take it.
I would take it too in a heartbeat if I was Ryan Poles. Are you kidding me? Like hell yeah. Like still have a top 2 pick in the draft and get an extra first-round pick in the meantime. Why not? Like it's just that I just really do not think it'll happen. And I think the Bears might be able to pull a 2nd-round pick from the Houston Texans and trade down again to get a first. Like I do see the Bears trading down twice in this draft.
Second. Yeah. The 2nd overall pick and the
now don't get me wrong, I would love to see the Bears end up with 4 first-round picks by the time they finish trading down, but that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think, and I do not think trading Justin Fields is part of it. It's hard enough to get a franchise quarterback, especially one who clearly has that it factor. And Justin Fields
got that dog in him.
He really does. Like the guy's just
he's so good. And his first year he had like such a shitty supporting cast, and then his second year he had an even worse. I mean.
He had a terrible coaching staff last year.
Yeah, his first year, second year, he just had terrible weapons the second year. And now we can correct some of that.
No good players up front to block for him.
Higgins potentially. I mean, I don't think he's a wide receiver 1 though. So we still need a wide receiver 1 after that.
I don't think the Cincinnati Bengals are actually going to trade Higgins because for one, a lot of people on the Cincinnati Bengals staff actually came out and said, yeah, there's no plans to trade T. Higgins. We're keeping him. Especially but yeah, I mean, of course, like if someone's given enough draft capital, like any player
Myers, like you were saying, I think is a better choice, right?
I think Myers would be a cheaper choice. Do I think Myers is number 1 receiver? I don't think so, but he's a good.
We need a 1, which will probably appear in the draft for us. I'm hoping. I gotta do a deep dive here soon into the draft and see who the receivers are and that kind of stuff.
Well, there's a lot of this is actually a really deep receiver draft class this year, and it's actually really deep for defense as well. So this is actually a really good opportunity for the Bears to go ahead and pick up some quality players. In just this draft alone, in arguably our 2 biggest needs. I do think free agency this year is going to be focused mostly on getting O-line help, considering just that there is a lot of good O-linemen in the draft this year. And it's going to be like it's going to be an interesting offseason. Because personally, I think the Bears will go, as I said earlier, O-line first, then defense and wide receivers.
I think it's gonna be a defensive lineman first.
Oh
Just
no,
because
I think
he's up.
I
I
think
forgot what his name is, but he's
Deron
really
Payne.
high up. And he's a 3 technique. Is that the correct person?
He's a nose tackle.
Do you want? So I don't know. My gut feeling says we're gonna pick up a 3 technique first.
Yeah, and I do
or trade for
absolutely.
one. So it's gonna be
I do
one of those
believe
two.
that he is available for. I do think he's definitely an option for the Bears, and he should be the Bears' #1 pick. He's probably one of the best players in free agency right now. I did see a lot of people say that the Bears are linked to both Orlando Brown and I could never pronounce the guy's last name, but the 49ers right tackle.
Okay.
And that they're both top players in their positions as well. Like they're going to get paid, whether that's with the Bears or not is up for debate. If the Bears are able to snag one of them, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I'm just excited to finally get the O line and D line fixed, and get some defense going. So don't embarrass us.
Yeah,
I don't want to be Detroit.
well,
there's
realistically,
worse things to be. We could have been.
Yeah.
We could be the Bears from last year.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that pretty much covers this episode of the Bears Cast Network podcast, and we'll see you guys next time with more stuff. A lot more draft things happening soon. Maybe going into some odds and other things, gambling stuff potentially. We'll see. We'll see where this thing goes. But leave some comments and concerns or whatever you want to talk about in the comments. And that's it. Bear down.
Bear down.